Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to question time for the 2023 spring elections. This is our third question time event for the week, and this is an opportunity for you as voters to hear from your candidates and learn a little bit more about what they stand for and what they might do in office. We'll be hosting question time events for all the roles available in this election, and they will be appearing throughout the week. The particular question time today is for students running for the Lampeter-based positions, so that is both Lampeter campus president and all of the Lampeter part-time officers. I'll be the host for today's event. My name is Ewan Morrison. I'm the Student Voice and Advocacy Manager here at the Students' Union, and for the purposes of the election, I'm also the Deputy Returning Officer. The format of this event will be as follows. The candidates for each of the representative positions have been invited to provide a 3-minute speech, and then will be followed by 3 questions. All confirmed candidates have been invited to attend. We have all of the campus president candidates in attendance today. We don't have any of the part-time officer candidates in attendance, but we will be letting you know who they all are just in a little bit. A recording of this will be available on the SU website afterwards for you to view in your own time. And before we begin, I just want to go through that full candidate list so everyone is clear. So for Lampeter campus president, we have 5 candidates in this election: Bronnie Kane, Natasha Graham, James Lloyd, Nathan Topham, and reopen nominations. From our part-time officer positions, we have 2 candidates for Black Students Officer, that's Linda Peters, and reopen nominations. For our Gender Identity Officer role, we have 2 candidates, Elwyn Jones, and reopen nominations. For our International Students Officer position, we have 2 candidates, Yang Fen Wei, and reopen nominations. And for our Postgraduate Students Officer position, we have 2 candidates, Yuan Liang, and reopen nominations. So we will start off, as I said, with the candidates for Lampeter campus president. So I'll invite them each one by one to deliver a 3-minute speech. The order that they will deliver this in was randomly drawn earlier and will alternate through the different rounds of questions that follows. So candidates, if we're all ready, I'll start with yourself, Natasha, and you will have your 3-minute speech. So starting when you're ready.
Okay, so my name's Natasha. I've been on Lampeter campus for nearly 5 years. I'm a mature student, as you can probably guess. I'm also a disabled student, but I have a wealth of experience and a unique skill set to offer the union. My physical diversity will not affect my role in any way. I have good support and care on campus. I've got over 10 years experience as a project manager. I've been chairperson and treasurer for several charities, and I've raised over £20,000 in funding. As a Hindu, I've established the Vedic Centre on campus, and the reasons I decided to run for president is because I've witnessed a growing decline in student participation in the union. And access to the union building is to the facilities as well. It's often limited and it's underutilised. My own experience as a student, when I've entered the building, when the bar's not open, the lights haven't been on, I've been asked why I'm in the building, and I want to change that. I want to give the union back to the students and for them to be more directly involved with the events. We have a wealth of talent on campus, and that talent goes elsewhere to work for other people. I think that it should be working for us, and we should be celebrating one another's talents. And on campus, we're very lucky on Lampeter campus. We've got culturally, it's very diverse, and I think it's something that should be celebrated. And also, as a disabled student, I've experienced the support that is available, and it's amazing. And I think the things that are positives on our campus should be celebrated, and the union should be there to make people aware of the support that is available. Because another friend I've got that's disabled, her experience has been completely different because she hasn't been aware of the facilities to access on campus. So I would like the student union to be a hub where people can come not about classes or what's happening in the bar, that there's support system set up so people know what's available to them. Like the SU bus, I don't know how many of you have actually used the bus, but there is a bus available. I found it difficult to start a society. I just want to loosen the red tape a bit. And even if for my term as a president, I don't manage to open that up, I want to start with a foot in the door, so when the next president comes, it's actually easier for them to get done what needs to be done. So your vote would allow me to use my skills to develop stronger bonds with the students and allow them to access existing facilities, because I believe we as students together can reclaim our student union.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you.
And Nathan, you'll be next. So when you're ready, your 3-minute speech.
I'm Nathan Topham. I'm a first-year student and I studied Chinese studies on the campus. I've got no experience in the student union, but that won't hinder me my term as president. So, one of the major courses of action over the duration of my campaign will be to drastically improve the already existing mental health support services on campus. Around a month ago, I and around 12 other fellow students attended a meeting with 2 mental health advisors on campus and the current president, Brandon, where glaring issues were brought to light concerning gaining access to mental health support. One of them being that the UWTSD website is not entirely clear or user-friendly for those who don't know how to use it. For us first years this year, we didn't have the meeting that instructed us how to use it properly, so it's difficult for us to use it. Students that are struggling will find it difficult to try to get help because of this user interface nightmare that the website has forward. However, the Hub app does make gaining access slightly easier, but another issue discussed within this aforementioned meeting was that the icon for the Wellbeing app across does not convey the student's idea of wellbeing very well. Another aspect is that students that want to have weekly appointments with a mental health advisor, for example, Alistair, need to fill in a form, something that students who are too stressed or depressed will struggle to deal with. This is distressing for students, and I will fight for this form to be amended. On a lighter note, society chairpersons who wish to receive access to the bus find it a bureaucratic nightmare, as they have to get more than a week's notice to use this. And this is difficult for some to even, lest they try and raise funds to get public transport there themselves, which for students is challenging, to put it lightly. In my term, I will lobby for this process to be made less time-consuming and for university vehicles to be easier to hire for society activities. Lastly, studies have shown, these studies being our boarding on campus, that the venues are not open enough to be utilised to their full extent, for example the SU bar and the extension, and to a lesser extent the library. My goal is to extend the library opening hours on the weekend to 12 o'clock in the evening as it is in the week, but when many people's experience it is needed the most, such as finishing essays. And I will liaise with the old bar manager Katie to open the bar every day of the week, as it was in the past years, with more frequent extension nights as well, as the LGBT society has been making their goal. Thank you for listening to my questions.
Thank you, Nathan. James, your 3-minute speech when you're ready.
So, hello everyone, I'm James. I'm currently in the 5th year of my studies at Lampeter. So I've completed a BA in archaeology with ancient Egyptian culture, and I'm currently doing a master's in ancient civilizations. I've also been a part of the football team since 2019, taking up a more serious role as the social secretary since 2021. So why am I running? So like I said, I've been here quite a while, and over the time, similar to what Natasha said, I've noticed the student engagement has definitely declined. Not only with the SU, but also with the library, or just general engagement with the campus. And I've spoken to many students in my time, and they've all had different opinions or qualms with the uni that I think altogether I could help solve. And I'd love to possibly have a positive impact on the campus. So I have 4 key manifesto points. My first one being improving student social areas. So similar to what Nathan said, I want to work with the SU and the SU bar and also the library to tailor opening hours more for students, especially during the daytime, and not only serving alcoholic drinks, but just teas, coffees, cakes, sort of like a cafe, working with the cafe on campus. Just as, especially on Fridays when people tend to have assignments due, there's not really anywhere you can go apart from the library to do work. And I think a student bar or a student union should be a place to do that, where everyone can interact with each other. And I also plan to implement more social areas outside, such as smoking areas or just general shelters for people who can socialize with each other outside of their flats. So there's not really anywhere to do that at the moment. My second point is for student voices. So if I were to become president, once a week I set aside an hour or two in the week where students know that they can come up and just have a chat, have a cup of tea, a biscuit, whatever they want, just to embrace with the president and just to give their opinions if it's a problem, if it's just to have a chat with someone. And I'd also like to implement anonymous post boxes around the campus that will be checked on a daily basis. So if a student had a problem that they didn't want to come forward with, they were ashamed or whatever, they could write that and then it could be approached without the student being seen. My third point is probably one of my largest ones, is funding and resources. So over my time here, I've noticed that funding has definitely been misplaced, I'd like to say, and has not been as fulfilled as it should be. So I plan to identify and address issues with the living spaces on campus, such as the halls. If there's a problem, they tend to get delayed quite a bit. And some security purposes, for example, in one of the buildings is an issue. And my final point is I would like to embrace a more integrated and varied familiarity and comfort for all students, both from the UK and international. And would also like to celebrate all the cultures on campus more, such as Chinese New Year and Sydney.
Thank you, James.
Thank you for listening.
Okay. Bronnie, your 3-minute speech when you're ready.
Okay. Hi, I'm Bronnie and I use they, them pronouns, and I'm running to be your next Lampeter campus president. This campaign has actually been 2 years in the planning, so yep, lots of time and experience has been put into it. I have had multiple roles with the university and the SU. I work as a library attendant in the library. I'm a student ambassador. I've been SU crew. I have been LGBT PTO and the society president for the previous 2 years. So I have a very strong background and experience with the SU going into this role. My key policies are all available on my social medias. That's Instagram and Facebook, which can be found under the handle @Bronnie4. That's a number 4 Lamprez. But just to run through them quickly, my first and foremost is transparency and communication. It's something that the previous presidents have really focused on, and I think, you know, in honour of their good work, it should be continued. So this looks like an open door policy where students can come into the SU building, can come into the upstairs offices and talk directly to a member of staff. Weekly debriefs from the president on the presidential social medias, so that students can actually see what we're up to and what I've kind of been doing to, you know, kind of meet your needs and wants. And just generally widen the SU uni channels. There's been, you know, there's delays in communication, there's lack of communication, there's misunderstandings. That needs to change. Secondly, student jobs. At the beginning of the year, we had a great opportunity with SU crew during freshers. That seems to have petered off, and I would advocate for SU crew to have work all year round, and also for the university to advertise student suitable jobs in student channels, because the library attendant position, perfect for students, however, is on the depths of the UWTSD website, and students very rarely know when it's being posted and it's being advertised. I've been lucky, I got my foot in the door, but I want that to not be luck for students. Thirdly, dissolve the divide. Lampeter, as we know, is a unique campus. We have some different dynamics to other campuses, and I want to bring wider recognition of that into the SU, so that, you know, we are not a one-size-fits-all university. We're not a one-size-fits-all campus, SU. And whilst overall policies and procedures are a very good thing, sometimes they do actually hinder student experience. And I think that needs to be looked at, and I will look at that. And also cross-campus campaigns. it's been in my experience as a student that there are campaigns on other campuses by other presidents that I would have really liked to see implemented on my campus. And so in my term, we'd see that.
Brilliant. Well, thank you all for your 3-minute speeches there. We're now going to move on to the question part of this. So as I said, the order will change. So in this case, Nathan, you'll be the first to go, followed by James, then Bronnie, and then you, Natasha. So the first question I've got for you is, what issues do you think Lampeter students face that need a wider attention?
Maybe the overall boredom on campus needs to be focused on to make student experience on the campus more engaging. There aren't that many societies on Lampeter campus. SU isn't open that often, and the library closes early on a weekend, which needs to be fixed.
Thank you for that. James, same question. What issues do you think Lampeter students face that need wider attention?
I think there's two key issues. The first one being, if they want any support, it's sort of, there's one place you can go, and if you see someone walking in, so it's the Canterbury building on campus, if you see someone walking in there, you sort of know generally why they're going in there. And I think it would be better if it was more anonymous then. And the second point, we live in a beautiful area that where a 20-minute bus ride from Aberystwyth, 40s from Aberystwyth, Carmarthen, and all the villages in between is lovely walks. But I don't think many students know about them. So I reckon more day trips to say Aberystwyth, just get out for a couple hours, go to the beach or whatever. I reckon that would be better for students, just well-being in general, and to make their life happy.
Thank you. Bronnie, same question. What issues do you think Lampeter students face that need wider attention?
I think issues on Lampeter campus that really needs attention is student comfort and safety. I feel like the implementation of at least one female member of the security team, particularly during the night shifts, so that if, heaven forbid, the worst was to happen, female students could have access to a female member of staff to help them through whatever that immediate process is, and to also make support, it's kind of similar to like the others have said, more accessible. There needs to be clear signposting. The SU website and the university website need to link up. Both need to have very, very clear procedures, just bullet pointed, so that students are not even more overwhelmed by the idea of seeking help than they are already. And I feel like Lampeter campus needs to take a harder stance on sexual assault and sexual harassment. It's become a bit a larger issue recently. I mean, even one survivor is too many survivors. There shouldn't be any. And there have been instances where that seems to have been swept under the rug a little bit. I'm taking a hard stance, and that will not be the case.
Thank you, Bronnie. So Natasha, you finally, same question. What issues do you think Lampeter students face that need wider attention?
Information about access to facilities, especially in relation to what you mentioned, Nathan, about mental health issues. The COVID period saw a massive decline in mental health for students on campus, and I think that needs to be addressed and dealt with in a sensitive manner. I also think it'd be a good idea to have a safe space created. There's a lot of rooms in this building, in the SU building, that are not being used. Like, one stores a ping pong table, another had a rucksack in it, another had 3 books in it. These rooms can all be used, and I think one would be good to use as a safe, supportive space for marginalised communities on campus. And also, there's a kitchen in this union as well that I know from previous students. It's very popular. It's called Pooh's Corner. A lot used to come and hang out here, and I would like to reopen that, the canteen, and serve students, because I think the prices of the 1822 is sometimes difficult, and then that shuts at 3 o'clock. And students, especially if you are struggling with mental health, it's difficult to cook, and if you're struggling financially, if there's something like that there. I already had a charity approach me to run a project from that cafe, where they were going to distribute free food to the students, but just no response. I wrote 3 or 4 times. I even came to a meeting with the president, and I was told, oh, we'll get back in touch with you, and then it was, we don't have a cooker. The charity offered to pay to improve the facilities, and it was ignored. But I want to change that. I want to make so the students suffering financially have access to good mental health, good food, and students that are maybe smaller in community have a safe space, a supportive space that they can visit, and maybe one of the rooms can be used for that. Yeah, and that was an excellent point that I've not actually thought of, Ronnie, that there has been experiences of women suffering sexual assault, and there isn't that support there, and it does need to be addressed, and a hard line does need to be taken with it.
Great, thank you all. So we're going to have James, you answer this question first. So the next question we have for you is, what more can be done to build a community across all of the UWTSD sites?
What a question. I reckon one of the first steps would be, so our SU runs now trips now and then. So we went to Playzone last year, Oakwood theme park, and other campuses were, I think, invited, but on the bus there was 20, 30 of us, and 2 people from Swansea got on. So I don't know if that's advertisement. I don't know if that's an advertisement issue, but I reckon just more trips for everyone, all 3 campuses, or multiple campuses would be invited to. That's the first step. And then I also think just day trips to go visit each other's campus. I remember we used to have something called the Challenge Cup, which would be every 3 years. So Lampeter, Swansea, and Carmarthen would take it into as the host, and the rugby teams, the football teams, the netball teams would play each other. And I remember that in my first and possibly second year, COVID hit, and since COVID it hasn't been brought up. So that, I reckon that would be a very good, possibly easy way to just integrate all 3 campuses as a trinity to just visit each other's campuses. Because as it's been 3 years, everyone will go to at least each campus once if they come for only 3 years in uni.
Bronnie, what more can be done to build a community across all the UWTSD sites?
So I feel like I've already touched on this when I mentioned my cross-campus campaigns idea, and this would help, kind of bring, thematic campaigns throughout all of the campuses, whether that's mental health or academic skills, or even, the cost of living crisis campaigns that have been going on, and that kind of strings us all together. We're all, experiencing the same campaigns, the same messages, and the same support. I think that is really, really important. I don't feel like any campus should be deprived of the good work of a different campus and their president. But also dual membership with the societies. It's something that the SU are already beginning to put into place. I think it's an excellent idea. My only concern currently is some little niggles with feasibility, logistics, transport, funding, that kind of thing. But it's an excellent idea. And if we have multiple campuses within one society, that's excellent. And I feel with the additional funding and support from the SU, then we would be able to do extension parties, or we'd be able to do entire trips, so that we could bring all of the members from those societies, from the society, the singular society, from all the campuses, plural, into one space together. But go even a step further than that. Why do they have to be a member of a society? We're all part of UWTSD, we're all part of the same student union. So I think maybe we should look into the SU putting on cross-campus events just by the SU. Thank you.
Thank you. Natasha, what more can be done to build a community across all the UWTSD sites?
First of all, direct engagement with students and staff, maybe not just necessarily the staff on your campus, to make it so it's one family, if I can use that word, that all the campuses mixed together, like we were talking about, the events can be cross-campus, elections, the message, all that needs to be tied together. And there's obviously a problem with marketing. I think 3 posters on the SU door doesn't cut it. It needs to be widened out, and for the people to, maybe if there's someone that they can come and directly engage with, that can provide them with that information. And also people that want to put on events from other campuses that might not necessarily have space available. If there's nothing happening on Lampeter campus, there's no reason why they can't come and do that here. It's important for the students to constantly work with SU staff to say what they want. We're here to provide a service for them. They're not here to make us look good. That it's for them to come and tell us what service they want to provide, or more importantly, it's for us to go and ask them, rather than us sit in the office and wait for someone to turn up and then think, oh, you've interrupted my molly yogurt or whatever. It's important that you get out and talk directly to students, because their experience when you do talk to them is completely different to the one that's been advertised by the union, unfortunately. So yeah.
Thank you. And then to you for the final question, but for the same question, I'll confirm. What am I saying? What more could be done to build a community across all UWTSD sites?
Well, I'm going to build on Jamie's point about cross-campus events such as the Challenge Cup. I believe once every 2 weeks or once every month on a Wednesday when we have lectures off, we should utilise the student union bus to go to Carmarthen campus or Swansea campus, just to even just look around. Some people have never seen Carmarthen or Swansea campus before. I certainly haven't. So just to look around or engage with their events on a Wednesday. For example, we do football on a Wednesday, so Carmarthen or Swansea campus may have different sports that we can engage with that Wednesday, if you don't already do it. Society here, as well as just looking around the town, because although Lampeter is a lovely town, there are lovely cafes and shops and things like that. Carmarthen and Swansea are significantly bigger, so this bus service would be utilised to, have a fun day out in Carmarthen or Swansea campus for students, to give us a little bit of respite from boredom that sometimes brings.
Okay, so we'll go to the final question now. So Bronnie, you'll be the first to respond to this one. The question is, how can your past experiences help you with this role?
Wonderfully. Simply put, as I've mentioned in my opening statement, I have worked with the SU and the university throughout my entire time at UWTSD studying my undergrad. I want that to continue next year as your campus president. Let's see, library attendant. I have. I know exactly what it's like to be a student studying well into the night. I know what it's like to be one of the staff members working well into the night. I was one of the people that advocated for later opening hours during the week, so that we're now open until 12. We're a small campus, we're a small library. Sometimes the numbers aren't grand, but people are utilising that. And my work as PTO, I've worked on LGBT History Months previously, and Pride Months I've put on events. I did a sexual education campaign, still in the works, and as president of the society, I mean, if you're on Lampeter, you've seen us in action. We have our bi-weekly meetings, we have our extension night once a month, we have very active social medias. I think I have a lot of good components that will come together to help fulfill this role, and anything that I am perhaps lacking in or don't have experience in, I'll pick up quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Natasha, same question to you. How can your past experiences help you within this role?
Well, my past experience as a student, because I'm Hindu, I'm part of a small religious community. Because I'm disabled, I'm part of a small section of the physical community. I'm also a member of the LGBTQ community, so I've experienced being in parts of marginalised communities, and I'll use my experience to make it better for other students in future. As I mentioned in my speech at the beginning, I've worked as treasurer and chair for several charities. I've got experience writing expenditures and applying for funding, and I know how resilient you have to be, the amount of knockbacks you get before you actually receive the funding. But anybody that knows me knows I'm like a dog with a bone. Once I've set my mind on something, I'll chew it all the meat's gone. And I'm hoping to bring extra funding into the SU. Yeah.
Thank you. Nathan, how can your past experiences help you with this role?
Well, unlike the others, I have a distinct lack of experiences in the past that may help me with this role. However, I do have a few. One of them was I engaged with the Erasmus Plus scheme that the European Union puts on within Gibraltar to help with training, youth and education within Gibraltar. So I could use the skills that I learned from the experience to enhance the student union's engagement with students. And as well as that, I have worked for a charity, the Bolton Hospice mainly, where I worked in the charity shop to earn the money for fatally ill patients in the Bolton Hospice. Don't know how that would help the SU. That's an experience that I've.
And then finally, James, how can your past experiences help you with this role?
So I think there's multiple past experiences I've had that I could use to implement into the role. So I think the more broad one is just the fact that I've been here a while. I've been here 5 years. I've spoken to many years of students. I've seen things be added to the uni. I think there's some similar things being taken away to the uni, and I've seen how it's led to a growth and decline in student engagement. I've seen shelters being built up and they were used effectively, and then they were taken down for exterior purposes. Teenagers would destroy them, vandalize them. So that's why they were removed. But I still saw how they were used in their peak, and it was very good. I've also implemented and organized various student events. Mostly, I will admittedly, mostly parties, but Halloween parties, for example, where all of campus has been invited, and we've had 100, 150 plus students in our halls of residence. And yeah, it was a good night, but it's also led to, if there were any problems, we were the ones who dealt with them. And luckily, touch wood, we didn't have many issues. We had some small complaints, but we dealt with them, so we were in charge, and we had that on our back, and I think we did it rather well. And then the final experience I've had, similar to how I mentioned earlier about the Challenge Cup, last year as a football society, I arranged a match from the Lampeter football team against the Carmarthen UWTSD football team. And although that was only a one-time thing, Nathan wasn't here for that, but I think it went really well. And I think that sort of shows how once the two campuses, or more than two campuses, came together, it was a good time and everyone got on very well. Sadly, we lost, but it was still a good day out nonetheless, and it was good to see how Lampeter campus and Carmarthen campus could easily mold together. So I think, and the final experience, I did go on a summer school, an archaeology summer school to China with the university during the summer after my first year, and that helped me see the Chinese culture firsthand. I was just thrown into the deep end, and therefore I think that could help me find ways to implement Chinese culture or embrace the Welsh culture to international students. So we have, I think, 40 plus St. Vincent students in the Caribbean and a countless Chinese students. So I think I've seen their culture, so I think that will help me embrace the Welsh culture or the British culture to them as SU president, if I were to be elected. So yeah, those are my points.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for all your answers there to those questions and your speeches. That brings it to the end of things. There's a few things I'd just like to remind everyone who's watching. So of course this was the question time for the Lampeter based position. So we've just heard from the 4 candidates for Lampeter campus president, and of course there was the candidates for the Lampeter PTO positions. You can find a full list of all candidates, including positions related to other campuses or cross campuses, on the SU website, so please do have a look on there. That's also where you'll be able to find the recording of this event if you'd like to watch it back. And also you can find the full manifestos of all the candidates on the Students' Union website. A reminder that voting will be opening on Monday at 10 o'clock. That's Monday the 6th of March at 10 o'clock, and will close on Thursday the 9th at 3 o'clock. All students will be sent links with the voting link included in it. So make sure you do have your say in choosing who will represent you and lead your students' union in the next academic year. If you've got any questions, please do get in contact with us. Just email the elections email, that is election@uwtsd.ac.uk, where you can we can answer any questions you do have about the elections. But that's it for now. Thank you all for watching. For those of you that are watching, thank you again to our candidates for all of your answers there, and best of luck to everyone during this election. Well done.
Thank you.